Hello ladies and gentlemen, welcome to my corner of the internet. My name is Jason, and today I want to take a glance at, quite possibly, my favorite first-person shooter ever, Descent. Released at the tail end of 1994, so about a year after the original Doom was released. This game here just gripped me, and I still play this to this day. In my opinion, it is a better game than Doom, but not necessarily a more accessible game, and I'll explain why in just a second. Let's just jump into the game and start talking about it, and then we can get into some little details in just a bit. So I'm going to start the game up on hotshot difficulty, which is, you know, it's your average one. So the first thing you'll notice is, hey, we're sitting in a ship. It's not like a first-person shooter where you got the gun sitting in front of you. You're in a ship and you're able to move up, down, you know, left, right. You can spin yourself around, and this is why I feel the game is not quite as accessible as Doom. It is definitely a lot more, we'll say, difficult to control. But I think that this allows for a lot more, we'll say, tactical use of space and stuff. Because, you know, like, I'm gonna make comparisons to Doom, because Doom and maybe even Doom 2, because Doom 2 had released in September of '94, and this released in December of '94. So basically a few months before it, and there's a few major, we'll say, differences. Well, a few major differences. There's quite a few differences. But because they are kind of close to each other, I'm going to make a bit of a comparison. As you can see here, instead of using, we'll say, sprites, Descent used fully 3D modeled enemies and environments, and this actually allows for a lot of really cool things, such as being able to sneak up behind enemies because there's actual facing. This allows for different directions, which allows you to sort of flank and move, because turning speed is a part here. So basically, there's a lot more, we'll say, mechanical ways to, we'll say, improve at the game, or we'll say, to use your, we'll say to really show off your skills, because it's in most first-person shooters of the time, you know, you had your enemy, they were represented by a sprite, but as you saw right there, I was able to kind of come up beside the robot and sort of flank it. And we went ahead and we took that sucker out. So basically, what's the whole deal with this the game? You know, I've been talking about it in comparison to Doom, but really we should talk about the game itself, what it is, because I'm just going through playing this here. Basically, what has happened is a corporation has started losing contact with its mines. Its mines have been, well, overrun, we'll say. There's something that's happened to their mining robots, and they've gone ahead and they've hired you to go ahead and one, rescue the miners. So here we have some of the miners, the hostages, which you should go ahead and locate and try to rescue on every stage. Speaking of stages, there are, if I recall correctly, 30 stages in total, 27 regular and 3 secret stages. And what you've got to do is you got to come into these stages, destroy the mining robots, rescue the hostages, and then at the end you want to go ahead and blow up the reactor. You want to make things go boom, explode, and destroy it, and prevent the virus or whatever it is from spreading, because it's currently spreading towards Earth. So, you know, it's got that typical, say, apocalyptic sort of story to it. You know, oh no, they're heading towards Earth. We gotta save the Earth. So yeah, you'll fly your way through the levels, and as you can see right now, my weapon has changed over to a Vulcan cannon. I can go ahead and switch back over to a laser. The game's weapons are set up. They're split between primary and secondary weapons. Primary being mostly energy-based, with I believe one exception in the form of the Vulcan cannon. You have the laser, Vulcan cannon, spread fire, which is kind of like a rapid-fire shotgun, energy shotgun. There's a plasma cannon and a fusion cannon. Which maybe we'll have a chance to show off. Maybe I won't show them off. I'm not decided just yet. Because you know, I want to show off the game. I want to show off as much, but you know what? There's a lot of surprises to this game in its level design, and the way things operate, and we'll say the intelligence of the well, maybe intelligence is giving them too much credit, but we'll say there are many surprises. The game has got many surprises. For instance, secrets. Lots of secrets, which, you know, I guess is befitting of a game of its time. You can come on in and find secret things. So spoilers, I'm going to show off a few of these. I'm not gonna go and try to get them all, but I will get a few just to show off where some of these things might be, so you can kind of see them. Very descriptive, Jason. Very descriptive. All right, so we got a laser boosted, and there's basically 4 levels to your laser. You can go ahead and have those upgraded, which is nice because you start off with the laser, and it means that your laser never becomes really, truly obsolete. You know, you can. It's a weapon that will carry you through the rest of the game. Even the base laser is viable, and that's one thing I really like about Descent is that, and it's good because the way it's designed, is that all your weapons are really viable. You can. They're never. I found in like some other first-person shooters, you know, your base weapon, your little pistol or whatever you start with, quickly becomes useless over time, and you know, you're like, oh crap, I need a better gun or something, and that causes problems. So it's nice that, you know, all the weapons are viable. Some are just more effective than others. And it's good for a reason we'll get into a little bit later. But right now I want to talk about the room we're in. So basically, I went through the level. I found the red key card, and which allowed me to get into the red door, which is the door that leads to the reactor. It is always the red door and the red key card. Unlike, we'll say, some other first-person shooters where the colors they vary. Descent follows a very nice standard of, you know, once all 3 keycards are introduced into the levels, which is by level 3, you know, you're gonna find the blue keycard first, and then you'll find the yellow keycard, and then you'll find the red keycard. So anyways, this is the reactor. What you want to do is you want to find these in every one of the mines and blow it up. So we're gonna go ahead and blow that up, and you'll notice there's a timer up at the top telling us we have 40 seconds to get out of the mine. Now the time limit varies by difficulty. So on the highest difficulty, I believe you got a total of 30 seconds to get to the exit. Now, in this level here, it's not a big deal. We've got the exit sitting right here. So, you know, we can just fly straight out. But later in the game, you know, the exit will be farther and farther from the reactor, which means you're going to have to really, really gun it to get out in time. You might want to also go ahead and clear out the way and make sure that, you know, you're not screwed here. One thing I do like about it is that, you know, even if it's down to 1, you can still get out. The screen starts to go white, it's very tense, it's really cool, and the whole mine is sort of shaking, and it makes it really hard to get out, especially by the end. But anyways, that was the first level, and as you can see here, the score is a big part of this game, and I want to talk about the secondary mechanics, the secondary layer of mechanics in the game. So here we got our total score, 43,000. For the level, and we got a bonus, you know, for rescuing all the hostages. Now, what can happen is we'll just skip past this. We'll talk about the briefings and stuff later. What can happen is you could be destroyed, obviously. And what happens if you get destroyed? Well, it is not quite game over. You have, if you look at the top left corner, you'll see a number of ships I've got. Little, you know, ship icon X2, which is saying that, hey, we have 2 extra lives. And what will happen is, let's say when you die, you will be, we'll say, teleported back to the entrance. You'll be teleported back to the start of the stage without any of your weapons. Like, you will drop everything on death. Now, as I mentioned before, all the weapons are viable, which is a good thing because you might have to do a cold start on a level, right? Because if you've lost all your weapons, getting back to that point, fighting your way back through, some areas have respawning enemies. If you haven't cleared out the generators and stuff, you know, we'll get into that in a little bit too, you know, you might run into some problems. So the game is very well balanced in that way, in that you've always got a chance. Yeah, there it is. There we go. We'll boost our laser up to level 3 now, which is a little bit stronger than the level 2, and I already mentioned that. So yeah, you've got your extra lives. Now, in the case that you should run out of all of your lives, it is game over. Oh, wait, sorry. When you are destroyed, not only do you lose a life, but any hostages that were aboard your ship are also dead. So you will lose your hostage bonus. So I guess you could say it's advisable to maybe locate the reactor, plan out your whole thing before rescuing the hostages. You know, in case you some of the later levels where, you know, they do get rather challenging, and you don't want to, you know, you want to get that full bonus. You know, it pays to do a little bit of planning in this game. I'm trying to remember here. Is there another secret in there? I can't remember. Like, let's see. I love that robot wasn't even facing me, and I love the idea of facing, because it's just it means that, you know, it's I don't know. It makes it adds to the depth, I feel, of the game. There's so much more. I like the way the game plays, because it's very, 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 very. Can I say very anymore? It's very skill based. Because you may have noticed, and it happens more on higher difficulty levels, but enemies will dodge out of the way. You know, they'll fire, but they'll move out of the way. And that's something that you don't see too often in first-person shooters of this era. Actually, I can't think of another one that actually would have dodging enemies. And there we go. We hit 50,000 points, which gave us an extra life. So yeah, you want to get those points because you want to get the extra lives, because admittedly, you know, there's a good chance that you will die in this game, especially once you hit level 6, or the 6th stage. I feel like up to like the first 5 stages are okay. You know, they're getting you used to the game, but by stage 6, the game just decides it pulls some moves that I don't feel are quite fair. So here's the blue key card. We'll grab that, and actually we'll go down here. Now, sorry. Now, so what do I mean by, we'll say, not fair? Well, we'll get into that maybe a little bit. Maybe I'll be able to show off some of the later levels to kind of give you an idea of what I mean by that. But we'll say it is a product of its time, and I do feel that the game benefits from almost an arcade game perspective. If you play the game and you learn the levels, and sort of remember and learn where the enemies are situated, it will benefit you. Now let me see if the capture is going to work on this. There we go. We have our map. Perfect. As you can tell, I have not totally memorized the levels yet, as I need to consult my map. But I think it serves a good purpose in sort of showing us how you'll be able to play this game. This is a fairly small level compared to what we'll be getting a little bit later. But I do love the map and how easy it is to use compared to some other games that might have come out around the same time or after it. Anyways, the door in front of us we have not gone through, so let's dive through there. And there we have the blue door. It's the door outlined with blue lines. Now, you might be saying, "Hey, this is a pretty good-looking game for 1994." Well, I'll be fair. What I am currently playing is a source port. Now, what a source port is basically they've some people who are very enthusiastic and very talented basically rewrote the game engine to allow for higher resolution. Admittedly, the original game was not quite didn't have the same resolution, and I believe some of the lighting was still there, if I recall correctly. Yes, that's right. It was still there, because the game actually even has some dark areas which you can illuminate using flares, like I just did there. So, you know, all in all, the game was still pretty impressive for its time. And maybe I'll cut in some footage of the original version in its original resolution, just so you can kind of get an idea of how it looked. But yes, if you do own the game, you can go ahead and get the source port, which will let you crank up the resolution and play around with that. And there's a few other little nice options that you can select that'll make your Descent gaming experience better. All right, so you know what? Let's show off some missiles here. I haven't really used any of those. So I haven't really been able to show off any of that. I've been mostly just using the lasers. I used the Vulcan cannon a little bit, but basically, you've got, at this point in the game, I've got concussion missiles and homing missiles. These are homing missiles here. You can tell because they're outlined with the blue. Concussion missiles, they are standard dead-fired missiles. They'll fire straight, and, they'll blow up anything they touch. The homing missiles, as the name implies, they will home in on enemies. So you can actually fire those around corners. You'll shoot a missile at a corner, and it will take out an enemy behind it. So, like, let me see. We'll find a good example for it. We'll find a really good example. So here's the exit on this stage, and the reactor is through here. Now, since we already had the level 4 laser, it basically just gave us energy for our laser. Alright, so let's go ahead and clear this area out. Now, there is one, oh guys, that's right. There's something different in this room that I wanna say, show off. Notice this little purple power-up. Because the game, much like the games of the time, have stuff like power-ups. This particular power-up is the cloaking device, which makes me invisible. Now, the reason why the reactor's still shooting is because it's firing at my last known location. If I fire it from here, it'll keep shooting there. So the robots, they'll remember where you're at, and they'll try firing there. So, that's one thing I've really got to say about the game, though, is the AI. I love the AI in this game. It is, I don't know if I'd say smart, but it at least gives the illusion of intelligence quite often. The AI, aside from firing and then trying to dodge out of the way when you're firing at them when they're taking damage, you will encounter some enemies that will try to ambush you. And later on, you'll actually even find, like, supervisor robots, which will notify, other robots in the area of your location. So as you get deeper into the game, the types of robots that you encounter are different. Their intelligence kind of improves too, which is really, really great. I really love that, because the difficulty doesn't just come from, this now there's a new type of enemy that does more damage. Like, you do still get a little bit of that, but like, even if you pick like a higher difficulty level, you'll notice the enemies are just that much more. Maybe they don't become like bullet sponges or laser sponges, as it were. They start to fire more. They become more aggressive. Their aim might become a little bit better. Well, actually, that might just be me imagining things, but I do know that they become more aggressive, and they are definitely become more of a challenge on the later stages. So, you know what? I meant, we were talking about it before. Let's go back a little bit to a previous topic. I know I'm kind of all over the place, but you know what? That's kind of how I am. I'm just sort of talking about the game as I experience it, and as things come to mind. I tried doing a scripted version of this, but it just doesn't feel natural to me. I just want to talk about the game and just not sound like I'm reading from a piece of paper. Anyways, we just picked up the spread fire cannon. Now, this sucker really drains your energy very quickly. So be, we'll say, cautious using it, but it's great at well, killing things. Your aim doesn't quite need to be quite as precise, and as you can see, it because it spreads out like a shotgun. It does have a bit of you know, a better chance of hitting some enemies. I tend to like to stick to the laser cannon for the most part, but the spreadfire cannon is definitely one of my favorite guns to use in, well, pretty much any game. And as you can already see, you know, it's starting to up things. All right, so what happens? Let's say if you run out of lives. You've been playing, you've been doing awesome. Actually, I should probably show off. It kind of makes me sad. I'm like, oh, I've already got 200 shield, but no, we're gonna show off death. I forgot to grab the blue key card. Like, wait a minute, I went in there for a certain reason. Yeah, you'll definitely want the key card. Oh yes. Let's look at the map. I wanted to look at the map before we got the hostages because I wanted to point out that you can sort of see upon starting the level, even before your map is complete, you'll notice there are little green dots on the map, and so that shows you where the hostages are located in the map. So sometimes you might see hostages and you don't know how to get to them because sometimes they are behind hidden walls. So just keep that in mind, that you can take a look at your map and see where they're at, and to see if you've missed any hostages, because you do get a bonus for getting all of the hostages, and sometimes there's more than one, we'll say, hostage holding area. So just because you found one, we'll say, pen or one area with hostages, does not mean that you, it doesn't mean that you've gotten all of them. They're sometimes they might be spread out. Like I said, sometimes they might be hiding behind hidden walls. As we saw in like the first level, there was hidden rooms that like have guns and stuff, which will allow you to get some weapons a little bit earlier, than maybe they are, we'll say, normally findable. There we go. See, that's another thing, because you're constantly moving as well. And I had mentioned before the sort of the sense of skill, because sometimes you have to lead your shots. You know, the enemy will be moving, you will be moving, and you've got to be able to get your aim, because most of the weapons in the game are not hit scan. They're actual projectiles, which I really like. I feel like, you know, that's it gives you a chance to dodge. It makes the game feel more fair until level 6, which I'll show off in just a little bit here. Alright, so we've gotten actually proximity bombs, and I think the proximity bombs are a great way to show off death. So here we are at an area where the enemies, you'll notice there's some purple stuff on the walls. Those are basically enemy spawners. They will spawn enemies repeatedly. Now there is a limit. They will only spawn so many before they eventually stop. So it's not like infinite. Like, you can't just sit here and just rack up points. Eventually they will stop creating new enemies for you to fight. Sometimes they'll take pauses like this to lull you into a false sense of security. See, look, he was waiting. He was hiding for me. And some of the enemies, like I said, they will do that. If sometimes they'll realize, because we'll run into like some melee enemies a little bit later. Should not grab the hostages just yet. And what they'll do is they'll realize if you've got them, if you've got range on them. Oh crap. They'll realize if you've got range on them, and then they will hide around corners waiting for you to get close. Like I said, it's that behavior that I just absolutely love. All right, let's switch over to our proximity bombs. Now what these are is, much like the name will say implies, proximity bombs. You lay those down, and if enemies move over them, they die. They explode. So let's actually, for example, say, give me a second. I'm gonna fly back maybe closer to the beginning of the level. All right, so here we are on this larger room. So I'll go ahead and plant some of these bombs. If you go ahead, like I said, if you plant these bombs around, enemies, bump into them, they go boom. It's basically how it works. Thing is, you can also take damage from these. See? Oh no. So you want to be careful about your own bombs. There is friendly fire, and same goes for like missiles. You can have some splash damage if you're too close to a wall or too close to an enemy. When you fire off a missile, you may harm yourself. There we go. So, oh no, we were destroyed. There goes all of our stuff. And we get to start back at the beginning of the level. All the enemies remain destroyed, so you're able to sort of make progress through the level. However, just know that, hey, you're going to lose all of your stuff. But you can come back and pick it all back up. So yeah, that's a nice thing. You can make several attempts at a level. And yeah. So, what happens if you lose all your lives? You're like, oh no, here I am on level 3, and I got destroyed. I got wiped out. We'll go ahead and abort. We're thrown back to the main screen. Well, the nice thing is, one, you can save your game in the levels. So there is a save game. You can save at any point. And you can load the game. So if you want to save scum, you can go ahead and do that. I don't like to do that because, I don't know, I just don't like to do that. I like to keep playing. So what will happen is if you hit new game, it will allow you to start on any level up to the one that you have reached. And I love that. And it does go ahead and it shows off how balanced all of the levels really are, because when you start off the level, you don't start off with, we'll say, a recommended weapon loadout for that level. You start off with, the 4 concussion missiles and your level 1 laser. So like if I were to jump onto level 6, we'll keep it on hot shot for the time being. You know what? Let's go to Ace. Let's show a slightly higher difficulty level. This enemy here, the Class 1 Driller. This enemy here will be the bane of your existence. Before some of the levels, before you go ahead and start some of the levels, if there's going to be new types of enemies, you'll get a bit of a briefing screen, like this one here, which will kind of tell you a little bit about the enemy. And tell you, like, in this case here, threat high. Yes, this is a very dangerous enemy. And you'll get this periodically as you go through. It'll introduce new enemies, and I can't remember if it'll introduce new weapons, but I do know that sometimes it will on this screen here, where it's telling you where you're going to. In this case here, level 6 starts on Mercury. Sometimes if there's, we'll say, new types of weapons to be found, the briefing screen will say, keep an eye out for new experimental weapons or something like that. So, we're gonna go ahead and start off Mercury on Ace. I'm probably gonna get destroyed here. I mostly play Hotshot. I have played a little bit of Ace. We could show off, we'll say, Insane for kicks. It truly really is insane. Now, the nice thing, like I said, because they do keep things fairly balanced, is that they'll have like weapon upgrades hidden near the beginning of the level. Crap! I need to get out of here. Normally, what I would do is I would set myself up in a good position here and just wipe out all the enemies until the generators don't keep making them. But I think that would make for some boring watching. So let's move out into the rest of the level and get ourselves killed, because that's a lot more we'll say entertaining. I don't remember the layout of this level very well. As you can tell, I've already looped back in on the beginning. Where is it? Level 6, there we go. There's the Driller. Now we're lucky. I saw it at a distance. But these guys here, the Drillers, they like to leap out from around corners and ambush you. And they have a very you hear that sound, the brant sound. They have this one sound that they really it's like this. It's terrifying. Eventually, you will become you'll jump every time you hear it because you'll hear that sound, which I can do a very poor impersonation of. So yeah, maybe it'd be better if I just sort of spliced in some examples. But yes, you will learn to fear them, and you will jump every time you hear them. They have a very low, we'll say short window before they will strike you, and because they are one of the few enemies in the game that actually have a hit scan weapon, I think it might be actually the only enemy in the game that has a hit scan weapon. They can be a little bit problematic. They will shred away your health very quickly, and I feel that they are one of the two, we'll say, unfair. See, I love that. He saw there was fire going on below, and he popped down to take a look, but he was the wrong facing, so I blew him up. But yeah, those light drillers, those Vulcan crap. Those Vulcan robots are an absolute pain. They are like I said, that will be your first string of deaths will be from the light drillers. Them, and it's a little bit easier. There's also an enemy. You did see one of the larger, I think it was brownish, who fired the missiles. There are a large, we'll say, red. There's a large red robot that with green eyes that will fire homing missiles at you. Homing missiles can be difficult to shake, and it will take some practice to be able to avoid them, but they will very easily annihilate you as well. There we go. I'm actually lucking out here. I'm not running into. Oh crap! Okay, I didn't get him. I'm not getting ambushed by them. I'm really surprised here. But I do want to bring up one thing. If you pay close attention, you can, if you're really listening carefully, you can hear the robots and you can learn their sounds. And as you get close to, like if you want to play this a little bit more cautiously, which, if you're playing on the higher difficulties, I would recommend. You can listen out and hear the robots nearby. All right, maybe they're just. I'm like, I just started to take a second to just sort of listen, but I don't hear anything, so I'm gonna pop up and die because they're probably just being really quiet. Yep, he was just being quiet. Most of the time, you can kind of, especially if they're aware of you, they will definitely become noisy. So keep an ear out for enemy sounds. You'll eventually, like I said, you'll learn their sounds, and it will tell you if there's an enemy around the corner. One good tactic that I would recommend for dealing with the drillers, for instance, you hear that sound, is homing missiles. What will happen is if you can hear the sound and you know they're around a corner, firing a homing missile. I don't have any right now. Firing a homing missile and letting the missile kind of curve around the corner and take out the light driller. Speaking of sound, the music in this game is probably, I would say, my favorite Midi soundtrack. And if you're not entirely familiar with what Midi is, it is basically sheet music for your computer. Now, if you were to play, see, there's one right there. You can see him around the corner. Now, if I had a homing missile, I could fire, like, right here, and it would curve around the corner and take him out. Since I don't have a homing missile, nope, you have no homing missiles, we'll have to come around the corner and hopefully be able to, just kill him before he starts unloading on us. Oh crap, there's another one! Yeah, I'm gonna die here. Oh no, I managed to take him out. Sweet! And now I get homing missiles. Great. So there was 2 of them, so that was a little bit unfortunate. But you could see how quickly my health went down. Like I knew they were there. I kind of got the jump on them, and they still managed to like just shred me. So yes, if you were to play this game, you're not likely going to have the same sounding music as I am. Because I'm kind of a nerd, and I've got a Yamaha MU100. It's basically it's a MIDI. It's an external hardware device that's playing the music right now. If you're playing this on, say, like Windows or a Windows system, you'll have the Windows default MIDI. Maybe I'll splice in a little bit of an example of that so you can hear it. But the nice thing about the source port that I'm playing is, oh crap! Whoa, okay, sorry. Is that it has the option for we'll say custom soundtracks. So you could, I believe there are some packs out there that you know, do over the music a little bit, give it a little bit of a makeover, and you can go ahead and grab that, or you know, an enhanced version of the soundtrack. But this is a trap. This is totally a trap. It's a trap? It's not a trap. Okay. This is the final upgrade for the lasers. Quad lasers that lets you fire 4 lasers at the same time, which is which once again it doubles the damage, effectively, that you're putting out. But yeah, so because it is MIDI, you could even find if you want to leave it on MIDI. Yeah, I could see it right there. The light driller. one jump out on me and I am toast. With only 8 health, yeah, I am toast. But yeah, you can find look them up. It's called Soundfonts, and you can basically, what you can do is with a MIDI soundtrack, you can kind of choose what instruments you want. You know, I'm using my MU100. If you want, you can use Soundfonts. There we go, dead. You know, you could find like a chiptune sound font, for instance. You can make the entire soundtrack sound like it was playing on a Game Boy or an NES. So, you know, while we'll say default MIDI might not be the most fun to listen to, they might sound like you know, old farts. The benefit of it is, though, is that it allows you to even in the original game, even without the source port, you could, you know, change up the instruments to what you want, and it allows you to sort of mod the soundtrack to your own tastes, which I think is really cool. I like my MU100. I've played with several different. Okay, where are you? I think I got him. That was what? Dang, that was like 20 something. I don't remember what my shield was at. I don't know if it was at the 100 or not, but it knocked me down to 72, so that's fairly significant. All right, cleared up. So yeah, this is Descent, especially with the source port. It's very flexible. You can customize your experience, and there you go. We're down to 56 health. 36. Holy crap. Like I said, I am playing, to be fair, I'm also playing on Ace, which I would not recommend for a first-time playthrough. I think Hotshot is great because, one, it lowers the enemy reaction time. They're not as aggressive. So you know, those will be a lot easier to deal with. But you know, you'll also get the chance to learn the levels and where the enemies are. So holy crap, I'm gonna you'll get a chance to learn where they're at and sort of plan accordingly. One nice thing of note is in some of the cases the level might seem impossible, but the game is pretty good in that I find that it will often, because I know there's one room coming up in this level. I don't know if I'll, crap, no. I'm probably not going to get to it. Might be able to splice in some video of it, but basically there's a room where there's basically, once you enter the room, you get, halfway into the room, the doors will open up like monster closets, like, you know, in like Doom and that, and, all around you will be like at least six light drillers, and that should spell complete doom for your health. You know, that should be it. Game over. But the game, if you know the level, the game is actually set up in such a way that there's a way to get through without getting hit. There's a hidden cloaking. Actually, you know what? Right around here. Give me a second. Crap. I don't know the levels. I don't remember everything about the levels, so I apologize. Come on, don't die, I've got no spare lives left. Okay. Oh, no, that's it! Alright, I'll have to splice in the video. But basically, there's a hidden cloaking device and a hidden invincibility power-up that will let you get through the room without getting hit, whatsoever. But that's it. Game over. So once you get game over, I place second on the high score list. So yay, go me. And so yeah, this is, like I said, it's got a bit of a high score thing. So when you get first place, you get to type in we'll say a little saying, which gets put up at the top of the high score list. And as you can see here, I've gone ahead and I've put down game on. So you know what? I think that is about it for Descent. That should give you a good idea of what the game is. The game is available as of this video. Is available on GOG.com. And like I said, I'll go ahead. I'll leave links to the source port down in the description below, so you can you know, play with the higher resolution and stuff like that. But yeah, this is a great first-person shooter. It's my, like I said, definitely my, say, favorite first-person shooter of all time. Just because the combination of skill and the intensity, it's just I don't know. It's an evergreen title for me. I love it. But I would definitely recommend the source port. But anyways, that's it. We're gonna go ahead and end things here. If you want to see more of the game, go ahead and play it. If you'd like to see me do more of a full playthrough, I'm not sure. I feel like you've gotten the gist from it, and I think I've said everything I need to say. But if you do, you know, just go ahead and leave a comment saying so. And you know, I might consider it for a future Let's Play. I think that I'm gonna make that a thing for all of my at a glance videos. I'm gonna show off the game, but if you'd like to see more of it, you'd like to see a more in-depth playthrough where we really go into stuff, because I'm sure I've left stuff out, but I want to kind of, you know, compress this all into a single video. I don't want to have to, you know, I wanted to give you as much in a single video as possible. I may have missed something. If you'd like to see a little bit more, go ahead and leave a comment. But regardless of what you do, what you think of this game, or what types of games you like, I'd like to ask you all to game on.